Team Liquid is one of the winningest teams in World of Warcraft esports history. They still have yet to claim the top prize in the MDI. This past weekend in the Season 1 Global Finals, they had arguably their strongest showing yet, ultimately falling in the Grand Finals to an unstoppable Dignitas. Their Day 3 lower bracket run was anchored by their Pit of Saron, knocking out both Big Lucky and Mandatory in back-to-back matches. Let's break down what made Liquid so formidable on this map. The first pull in Pit of Saron is the biggest in the entire season. The only real limiting factor in pull size is the number of casters you need to interrupt, and how easy it is to drag the pull together. Early interrupts from DPS players are used to lock out the Liches, and Shine also tosses Spatial Paradox onto Sevi, allowing him to tag a bunch of far melee mobs to tag them in. The Gather is incredibly efficient for Liquid, only taking about 15 seconds from the first mob being tagged to every bit of the 40% count they gather together to be stacked. In group stages, this pull was usually followed by another decently sized pull before heading into Forge Master Garfrost, but in the global finals the teams leveled up their routing, skipping past a large portion of the trash on the early path to the boss, with a rescue from a Shine on a 3-seater, and Yips prowling ahead. They grab essentially every pack from the Lich on the Cubby on the right, all the way up until the boss, and then they drag it on top of the boss. In addition to the casts that were also present in the first pull that could kill the pull instantly if one goes off, there's also a bunch of nasty overlaps that can occur. For instance, if a Proto-Drake Breath ever aligns with a Glacial Overload, it could instantly wipe the group. Liquid execute the pull perfectly regardless, and once the trash is mostly dead, Sevi decides to go on a mission to grab some extra fodder for their AoE machine. He transcends outside the boss room to a pre-placed image, tags yet another Lich pack in, then Wernstones back to the group inside the boss room. Trash makes its way up into the boss room, into the waiting arms of the next set of DPS cooldowns from Wolf Disco and Cinny. By the time the boss goes down, yet another 23% trash count has been tacked on. The team splits up on the way over to Ick and Crick. Shine breaks off to free the citizens they'd passed up earlier in the dungeon, while Yips and the rest of the crew go on yet another trash gathering crusade, pulling the boss as soon as possible. Shine, once done with his duties, rejoins the group with a Wernstone of his own. While not the biggest trash pull of the dungeon, there are still those same dangerous casts from the first two dungeons present, although in smaller quantities. A nice touch here is Liquid waits to pull the Geist's pack until the next set of cooldowns come off cooldown. They had still been on cooldown from the previous boss because they used 2 sets of cooldown on Forge Master Garfrost. The coolest tech teams have been showing in this dungeon the entire season has to do with the next skip, up to Glaciath, and Liquid are no strangers to this. Before freeing the final citizen to break down the ice wall, Shine sets up shop on a ledge just to the right of the ice wall. It's important to set up here first because once the ice wall breaks, the trash pack sitting right behind it will run down, cutting off access to this wall without body pulling it. Once the wall goes down, Shine is able to rescue the Mammoth containing 3 of Liquid's members up top, and then Sevi joins with yet another Wernstone. The final trash pull of the dungeon awaits. Past the first pack, everything else is pulled up to Glaciath. Mass AoE damage on pulls of this size are the norm, but the real crux of this pull is killing Glaciath as quickly as possible. After placing the first Cryoburst puddles, Yips quickly moves them up the pathway, clear of the void zones. This allows them to quickly position behind the focused guard cast the second they know which way it's facing. For the duration of the channel, successful attacks from behind the shield have 100% increased critical strike chance, and Liquid use yet another set of cooldowns to nearly one-phase the mini-boss, unlocking the final boss of the dungeon. The final Wernstone tech in the dungeon is used as Yips jumps back down to the initial Graveblade pack they skipped after Ick and Crick, dragging them up the mountain once he Wernstones back to a Shine, and they blast it down with Scourgelord Tyrannus. Liquid is actually so fast in this dungeon that their second Bloodlust doesn't even come off cooldown until the boss is sub 10%. The kicker is they needed every second of this run in order to stave off Big Lucky, who had matched Liquid's previous best in this dungeon of a 1034. Liquid looked poised to be a strong contender when them, Mandatory, Big Lucky, and the Season 1 champions Dignitas look to reconvene at BlizzCon later this year. We can't wait, so make sure to catch the MDI 2026 Grand Finals live from BlizzCon, September 12th.